So last week, I finally had the chance to play XDefiant. I've been wanting to play this game for a while. I signed up for the closed beta test and just never got in. And then the open tests were just always at weird times. Even this time was only 6 hours from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time on a Thursday. What kind of time is that? So I managed to get off work and get home and play for like 2.5 hours before the testing closed. I know that's not a whole lot of time to play and gather meaningful opinions, so take everything I'm about to say in this video with that disclaimer. Even so, I'm going to do the YouTuber thing and talk about it anyways, because I have some thoughts. First off, I want to say that I was extremely bad at this game during my time playing it. And if I'm showing any of my own footage, I apologize. It is not very good. Maybe I'll just stick to playing the promotional stuff, because my footage is really bad. I'm a bit out of touch with multiplayer shooters. I haven't played them a whole lot over the last few years. I've mostly been playing single player and like co-op games. But I want to get back into them, because I miss multiplayer shooters. Now, even though I sucked in just about every single match I played, the game felt really good. The gunplay felt really nice, the movements felt fluid, the abilities felt natural, like they belong in the game, and all of the maps flowed really well. I didn't get to play around with too many weapons, but the classics M4 and AK felt just as good and dominant as they do in most games. They felt really good. I'm a lover of the Vector in most games, but for whatever reason this game, I just couldn't get it to click with me. I think the P90 felt a whole lot better, and so I play with that mostly, but I kept trying to go back to the Vector, and then I do really poorly. It's probably just a me thing. I did add some attachments to like slow down the rate of fire a little bit, because I feel like I was just like burning through ammo because of my bad aim. But yeah, I don't know. P90 felt really good though. Speaking of, there's a decent amount of attachments in this game. Now, not an overwhelming amount like in current Call of Duty games. These attachments are pretty straightforward, and they make it fairly easy for you to build a weapon to your liking and playstyle. Overall, the guns just felt good. I played around with assault rifles, submachine guns, and one LMG. So I didn't get to play around with like all the guns. Like I didn't use any shotguns or snipers, but I did get killed by a lot of snipers. Fucking snipers. If there's one thing I don't miss, is going against a team that has like 4 snipers and they're all quick scoping you and then picking you off from across the map. It's so freaking annoying and irritating. Ugh. Damn snipers. The movement in the game feels good. In fact, it feels surprisingly fast. Way faster than I was expecting it to. Now, in a way, this game does feel a lot like an older Call of Duty game, but the movement makes it feel much different than that. You can chain movements together like sliding and jumping to pick up momentum, and you can even air strafe, which is wild. This game does feel sort of like a hero shooter, but it's also not quite a hero shooter. Now again, I only played this game for 2 hours, so I might be misunderstanding a whole lot about this game, so forgive me for any false information in this, but this is just the way that I saw it and the way that I saw that it worked. Instead of picking from a long list of characters where each character has their own abilities, you pick from a list of factions, and each faction has 2 different abilities that you can choose from. You also choose from a list of, I think it's 3 characters in each faction, and from what I can tell, these characters don't mean anything or have like any sort of impact on the game. It's just basically choosing which skin you want to play as in the game, but what matters is the abilities you choose. You can pick whatever faction ability and then whatever character that's in that faction to pair with that ability. Unlike Call of Duty, there's no kill streaks in the game. You just have your one faction ability that you chose, and then you also build up an ultra ability, which you build up by playing the objective, getting kills, etc. I think I only got my ultra once in my playtime. I either only got it once or only noticed that I got it one time. So I don't know a whole lot about ultras. In my short time in this game, the abilities felt fairly balanced, and I didn't seem too bothered by enemy abilities at any given point, except maybe the spider bot ability. I don't know what it's called, but the little spider bot thing that follows you around. It was pretty annoying, but on the other side of things, it was super fun to play as. You basically just put the spider bot down, and then it just runs off to the nearest enemy, and you can just follow it. And so the spider bot will jump on their face and cover their visibility, and then as they can't see anything, you just shoot them and kill them. Or they'll notice the spider bot coming and shoot at it, and while they're distracted, you can shoot them. Or the best case scenario, there's more than one enemy, the spider bot jumps on somebody, you can shoot the other guy that spider bot's not on, and then finish off the spider bot guy. And then you basically get 2 free kills because your spider bot led you to the enemy team. It's super fun to play as. I don't know, that ability was really fun. I felt like I was cheating when I was using it, but it was definitely my main for a little bit. I also like the fire guy that does like the ground pound fire attack. I don't know, I just love the ground pound attacks. Like in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, like the guy the spike guy, I don't remember what it's called, but he did like the ground pound spike thing. It's just simple. You see an enemy, you get close to him, ground pound, and you move on. I just appreciate it. So in my time playing, I did not play every map that was on rotation, but the maps that I did play were fairly simple, classic 3-lane maps with like a smidge of verticality to them. The only complaint that I really have about the maps is that to me, visually, they just all looked pretty boring. Now, it's not so much of a bad thing that it makes me not want to play the game, or I think it's necessarily a negative. It's just something I wanted to point out and something that I noticed. They just, I don't know how else to put it, they just like seemed bland. And to go with that, I guess, I didn't love the art style. Now, I have nothing against like cartoony looking games. In fact, I love cartoony looking games like Borderlands, for example. Love the shit out of Borderlands. But like, for whatever reason, this game, it just didn't click with me. Now, to go with the maps and the art style, again, the elephant in the room. The very Ubisoft elephant in the room. I don't necessarily mean it as a negative. Well, I kind of do. The game feels very Ubisoft-y. Just the way that it feels, the way that it looks, the character themes and the map themes, it's all just very Ubisoft. It's almost too much. Like, I get that's the point of the game, and it is a free-to-play game, but it's just... I just feel like the Ubisoft thing is the one thing that's like really gonna hold this game back from being more creative with their maps and characters and skins, but we'll see, because like right now in the open test, everything was very much Ubisoft themed. Speaking of art style, this is like a total aside that has nothing to do with this video, but like, I miss Gotham City Imposters. Somebody needs to bring that game back or make Gotham City Imposters 2. That game was so charming and so underrated. For the most part, the game felt fairly polished. I think this game could launch tomorrow and players wouldn't have too much to complain about. Like, I think it was good enough to launch if they wanted to. Now, there were a few games where I guess the hit detection just didn't feel quite right. A couple instances where I was shooting directly at a guy, and I know I'm a very bad shot, alright? But these people were standing still, and I was shooting directly at them, and my bullets just weren't registering. Like I said, I'm an awful shot, but even I know when I'm supposed to be shooting somebody. Now, a majority of the games during my short time felt great, and I didn't really have this problem. There were just like a few matches and instances where that was the case, where the hit detection just like didn't feel right. Like, not only my bullets towards the enemy, but also the gunfire coming towards me. It just like felt weird. It felt like either I was supposed to be getting hit, or I just like was dodging gunfire like I was fucking Neo from Matrix, or I was getting shot around corners, you know? But for the most part, the game felt pretty good. I don't know if it was like specifically lag or internal game problems or just server issues. It just felt a little weird at times, but again, it was fine for the most part. Now, I did experience a few bugs, not many, but a few. Like, I did spawn in without my gun model a few times, where I could see my hands there, but there was just an invisible gun, and I also didn't have a crosshairs or anything, so I was just like blindly shooting, hoping my gun model would come back, and it never did until I would die and respawn again. So that was weird. Also, some audio bugs where I'd shoot my gun, and for the first couple seconds of shooting my gun, there's just no gun audio, but then the gun audio like comes in after a couple seconds. That was annoying, but again, it was just a weird bug. Now, going back to the Ubisoft thing, it's not necessarily a bad thing or negative. I just want to point out that the game does absolutely feel like a free-to-play game. I don't have much more to say about that. Again, it's not necessarily negative, but when you play it, you can tell that you are not playing a AAA shooter or anything like that. It very much so feels like a free-to-play game. I don't think that should keep you from playing it, or I don't think you should see it as a negative either. It's just something that is very noticeable. If it has to be said, this isn't a review, obviously. I only played for a few hours, and the game's not even out yet. But I still think this game is going to launch really well and be a ton of fun. However, as I'm sure a lot of people have said this, they missed their window to have the biggest launch that they could possibly have. And I'm sure that they're aware of it, and they're probably more bummed about it than we are. I know that they wanted to launch earlier, and for whatever reason it didn't pass the test and they just couldn't put the game out yet. And it's a bummer, but I don't think that's such a bad thing. We are very near the release of Modern Warfare 3, as well as all of the other games that come out during the fall and winter seasons. This summer would have been the perfect time for this game to release, especially before all the Modern Warfare 2 updates have been coming out. I don't know though, I can't say much about MW2. I have like 16 hours total in that game. I have not played it a whole lot. I do want to warn players of one thing though. I think a lot of players are going to go into this thinking this is going to be this casual arcade shooter of COD's past, and I think if you go into this game thinking that, you're going to be disappointed. I don't think this game is going to be as casual as a lot of people want it to be. And that's not the game's fault. It's the players' fault. Players just aren't like that anymore. Players strive to be better. They are better at video games in general. They go online and look up metas and look up YouTube videos, and it's just not the same environment as, let's say, COD 4. It's not a bad thing, I just wouldn't expect to pub stomp each game. Unless you're not me and actually really good at the game, then maybe you can expect that. But yeah, it's hard for me to imagine this game having a lot of staying power. I want to believe it does, but I don't know. Can the developers keep this game updated to the unreasonable standard that a lot of players have from developers these days? I don't know. Consists of new maps, game modes, in-game events, themes, weapons, skins. I don't know. Only time will tell. I want to say one more thing to end this video. Although they might have missed their ideal window, and Modern Warfare 3 actually looks pretty solid, I don't think that matters all that much. In fact, I don't think this game's really going to be competing with MW3. Actually, I think this game's going to complement MW3 super well. Players can play MW3 until they get bored and then switch over to XDefiant, and then play XDefiant until they get bored and go back to MW3, and then just continue that cycle over and over. And then if both games keep updated and are actually fun to play, then in theory the player won't ever get bored and they can just switch back and forth between games. And XDefiant feels enough like COD where I think it'll be pretty easy to pick up and still do well without having to like get your bearings straight playing a new multiplayer shooter. And I think those two games are going to mesh very well for people that look for that FPS multiplayer experience. COD fans, or just FPS fans in general, should be overjoyed that we have so many games to choose from these days. I can say one thing with absolute certainty: this game is not the COD killer. And anyone out there that is saying this is the COD killer, you are fools. The COD killer will never exist. No game ever will be the COD killer. You know why? Because the only thing that can kill Call of Duty is Call of Duty. Thank you so much for watching this week's video. I am incredibly busy at work this week, so I have no idea what the next video is going to be, but I'll think of something. I also haven't been playing too many video games because I've just been busy and it's been hard for me to make the time for it, which is a huge problem for, a gaming YouTube channel. Hopefully I can get all my ducks in a row and figure it out sometime soon. Alright, thanks for watching once again. I'll see you in the next one.